Howdy. It's been far too long. So many of you know, or most of you know, that I, like a lot of other gay YouTubers at the time, started my channel because of Mark Miller, right? I was inspired by his adventures, by his achievements, by his outlook on life, by the stories that he told. I wanted to follow that roadmap to success. I wanted to achieve those things. And to an extent, I idolized the man. I really did, and I'm not even embarrassed to say that. I'm not too proud. I'm not ashamed. He got me through a difficult portion of my life and introduced me to YouTube and many other hobbies that I saw through his channel that I never would have otherwise thought to try or be introduced to, and developed the sense of self that I am today, and also just built the most wonderful experiences throughout that time. And so I'm not embarrassed to say that I saw his life as almost this roadmap to success, right? He was the penny-boarding, muscular college dude with the boyfriend who traveled a lot. He had his photography, he had his videography, he moved to the city, he went out to LA, he bought the Jeep and everything. He had the dog, like, all of it. I was just like, this is what I want. This is what success looks like to me. And upon reflection, I know that it was a younger teenage version of myself masking and avoiding a lot of my own mental illness, avoiding a lot of my own trauma and issues, and being like, if I can achieve these things, if I can go out and do these things, then I'll be happy, I'll be successful, and I'll have this enriched life, this enriched gay life that I didn't get to have growing up and that I want to have in my young adult and further on adult life. Looking back again, it doesn't really work like that. I am proud to say that I did achieve many of those things I set out to do. I set those goals. I wanted to learn how to pennyboard. One, because I don't like riding bikes, and it was a great way to get across college campus. But two, it ended up introducing me to this girl named Grace, she was one of my best friends in college, and we just spent so many days just skating around campus, just cruising, listening to music. It was just some of my fondest memories are of pennyboarding on a college campus. That was something I did achieve. Small goal, check. I started a YouTube channel, check. I traveled a little bit, check. I started working as a photographer for a newspaper and then started my own photography company and started doing videography as well. Check, check, and check-a-rooney. So after I graduated college, you guys know I took my gap year. I struggled bartending because I didn't go to my master's program. Before the pandemic, I was actually planning to move to LA, to go out there. My friend Grace was already out there. 2020. COVID-19. No, and no. So I moved to Nashville. And the plan was to move here, and then once everything calmed down, go to LA, right? That was still my goal was still to go to LA. I don't think my goal is to go to LA anymore. Inflation is too crazy. But I moved to the city, and then I got the boyfriend, and then we moved in together, and we lived together, and I already had the dog. And so I was like, check, check, check. So I was hitting all these milestones on this roadmap I built for myself out of watching Mark's life and seeing how he progressed through his life. And ultimately, I got to a point where I left photography, I left YouTube, I left videography, I left modeling, which was something I really enjoyed. And all in all, fell through a couple things, worked in property management for a while. Now I work in a corporate marketing job. College made me be freaking out. That's all I wanted. I wanted a corporate marketing job. I wanted to be working with some of the biggest brands in the world. I do that now. Yay. Woohoo! Wonderful, right? Maybe. But check. Lastly, and most recently, I bought the Jeep. I got it. I have the Jeep Wrangler, the two-door, soft top. It's blue, it's beautiful, I love it, it makes me so happy. But when I stopped and I looked back, I was like, I achieved all of these things. And if you wrote them all down on paper, if you were to journal it out, if you were to put it just in a list, just bullet points, done this, it looks like I've been successful with my life, right? It looks like I have done all of these things, I've achieved all of these things, so what next? Like, go ahead, set more goals, I'm crushing it. But if you add sub-bullets and sub-bullets to those sub-bullets, describing how I got there and what it felt like when I got there and I achieved that thing, things don't look as picture perfect. I started pennyboarding. I don't get to pennyboard anymore because life goes on and you move to a city where it's just not possible. I left photography, I left videography, and settled into a corporate role. I settled into, being a little more behind the scenes as opposed to in front of the camera or even behind the camera, right? I was further behind the scenes. I moved to the city. Nashville's not where I want to be. I'm not afraid to say that. It's a great place, but it's still in the South. I would much rather be somewhere like Denver or Seattle or even Washington, D.C. But I had moved to the city. The biggest and the hardest one that has kind of made me reflect on my life, where I am, what I've achieved, and why I might not feel as fulfilled as I feel like I should. And maybe I took a roadmap from someone and saw their life as picture perfect, even though I preach that social media, YouTube, Instagram is not a correct depiction of someone's life. There's so much more going on. Everyone's details are different. Everyone's experiences are different. And even though Mark was this god to me of YouTube, this happy-go-lucky, positive experience, positive vibe, great dude, I know there's so much more that I will never know about that man, even though I actually lived in the same city as him for a little bit. Crazy. Never ran into him, but I, for some reason, took him away from that. And I did exactly what I tell people not to do to me, and I understand it now. It makes more sense to me now. Because I wanted his life to be perfect. Because if his life was perfect, I could live up to an expectation. I could live up to a set standard, right? And when I realized that my relationship wasn't working out after 2 years, when I realized it was time for me to step back and to step away, because not only were my needs not being met, but I wasn't in a place to meet my partner's needs. I was not the boyfriend I needed to be. And I'm not in a place where I can be the boyfriend that I need to be. I know that about myself. I'm working on myself in a lot of ways, and I've been working on myself for years. It's a never-ending project. It's that one that you put down and pick up and put down and pick up. But I know that I'm not at a place to cater to anyone's needs but myself. And that may sound selfish. That may sound, self-involved. But I'm just aware of this about myself. I'm still trying to get a handle on what it is that I want and what it is that I need. I don't even know what I need from a partner right now. It's weird. It's complicated. But it's reality for me. It's where I'm at. And awareness is a great thing. That doesn't mean that I fixed it overnight. And I started realizing that I had reached those things and I was at a false sense of success. If I just maintained this status, maintained what I was doing, that I would maintain that level of success. And ultimately that would lead to happiness eventually. Like, that had to be what happiness was. It was this thing, this thing, this thing, and this thing. And then I started realizing that those stepping stones were great milestones for me and wonderful experiences to have, but I didn't plan ahead. And so now that I don't have a path, the world is open to me, which is a fantastic thing, but I'm terrified because I'm leaving my best friend. Not gonna cry. I'm leaving him. I'm leaving the life we built and the life that we had. I'm leaving a lot of ideas and ideologies that I held on to very strongly. And I'm moving into an extreme unknown because I'm 25 now. I was 18 when I started this journey, and I'm 25 now. I'm scared. And so all of this is to say that even though I'm someone who preaches not to look at someone's life as picture perfect just from the details that you glimpse from it, I made the mistake of looking at someone's life as if it was picture perfect. And this is not to rag on Mark. I mean, again, he was one of the greatest influences in my entire life. He always will be. I'll always be grateful to him for his journeys and for sharing his experiences, for giving me the oomph to go forward and to start this for myself. Because if I didn't do this, if I didn't have the ability to go back and watch old videos where I talked sense and logic to myself, old video diaries that I made that I will never share, that just told me what to do in this situation, told me how to handle it, told me what I think I should do from a removed perspective, I don't know where I'd be. What I do know is I am moving forward. I want to share more about my experience in my mid-20s as a gay man, about being a little more relatable, and I want to get back to finding myself. I set my mission with my journal to find my way home, and home being a sense of self when I look in the mirror that I recognize who that is. Because right now I don't, and I haven't for a long time, and I've wanted to and I've tried to, but I haven't. So, come along with me on this journey if you want to. It's going to be a journey of self-discovery. It's going to be some oops and some ows and some whoopsies along the way. I'm excited just as much as I am scared of what the future holds for me. And I'm looking forward to sharing more of it with you, with going back to who I was so that I can find who I am. All right. See y'all later.